multiple sexual abuse allegations against a top cop by women constables to 3 school teachers arrested in 10 days. In fact, this is 5 school teachers arrested in 10 days for allegedly sexually abusing school children in Tamil Nadu. Our focus today evening is on protectors turning predators. D. Mahesh Kumar, the Joint Commissioner of Police, Chennai North Traffic, has been placed under suspension amid allegations of harassing a female police personnel. The Tamil Nadu Police Department has formed a Vishaka committee headed by a DGP to investigate the charges against the IPS officer who's facing multiple sexual harassment complaints against, in fact, from police constables. Post-investigation, Mahesh Kumar has now been placed under suspension. But what does this mean? A top police official being suspended post-investigation. And then we have 5 school teachers arrested in a span of 10 days for sexually assaulting, allegedly raping young school children, girls and boys ranging from 12-year-olds to 15-year-olds. I'm being joined at this point by Ellen Rao, who's a former DCP for Delhi, Brinda Adige, who's an activist, as well as Rajesh Jasial, who's an educationist. Thank you very much, all 3 of you, for your time. But allow me a few minutes. All 3 of you have been very patient. We have come to you a little late because of the breaking news that did happen. Give me a few minutes. Allow me to go to my colleague right now who joins us from Chennai. My colleague Dharni joins us right now. Dharni, good evening. Big concerns as these allegations emerge, and these are not allegations. There's also action taken in terms of a top cop being put on suspension, also school teachers being arrested after allegations of sexual assault. But what is the opposition saying? What is the government saying?
The opposition parties, ADMK and the BJP in Tamil Nadu, they are mounting a lot of pressure on the DMK Sarkar, raising questions about law and order and women's safety and also children's safety in the state. And today we are seeing the news of a joint commissioner of police, that is Mahesh Kumar, who was serving as the joint commissioner for traffic in Chennai North. He's been placed under suspension by the police department for alleged sexual harassment of women constables. At least 2 women constables have filed a complaint with the DGP Shankar Jiwal alleging harassment from the hands of Mahesh Kumar. And following these complaints, the internal complaints committee of the Tamil Nadu Police Department held a brief inquiry. And at the end of the preliminary inquiry, the complaints seem to be genuine. And because of this, now Mahesh Kumar IPS has been placed under suspension by the Tamil Nadu Police Department and the Home Department. On the other hand, we're looking at a rise, a very serious rise in crimes, sexual crimes against children in schools. On February 7, 3 government school teachers in Krishnagiri district of Tamil Nadu, they got arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl student. And on February 11, a government school teacher again in Tirupur district of Tamil Nadu was arrested for sexually harassing female girl students in class 7. And yesterday another private school teacher has got arrested. So these are raising very serious questions of children's safety, child safety in Tamil Nadu schools, to which the government hasn't provided any explanation so far.
Right, Dharni, thank you very much for your time. I would have liked to ask you more questions, but we are running short on time. Thank you so much for joining us. Ellen Rao, let me straight start with you, Ellen Rao. As this case emerges out of Tamil Nadu, how do you really look at it? It's not just one complaint. It appears that there have been multiple complaints that have come against this top cop by constables, by women constables, and post initial probe, he has now been put on suspension. What do you make out of this, Ellen Rao? How do you look at this?
Good evening, Sneha. In fact, it's a serious matter if this matter is found to be correct after investigation of this case, because it's not only one woman constable has complained, it is stated that so many other women complaints had complained against this police officer. That's why the government has taken the very harsh step that suspending him pending inquiry or pending investigation. Now the investigation will reveal about all the evidences which are available as per their statement of the victims. After investigation, thorough investigation, these allegations will be proved or not proved. If these are proved, then this will be a very serious matter for this police officer, because in
No,
new BNS section, the harassment of women and molestation sections are enumerated from the section 74 to 79.
No, Ellen Rao, I understand there is a probe that is underway. I understand the final findings have to come and so on and so forth. But the question is this. This is an institution that is supposed to be protecting the rights of people. This is an institution that is supposed to be protecting and ensuring safety of not just women, but citizens by and large. Now, here's the question, Ellen Rao. How difficult would it have been for women, for any woman constable to reach out to a senior with a complaint against an extremely senior officer? How difficult or how easy was it? We have to look at it in that lens as well.
No, it's not so easy. It's very difficult to complain against very high senior officers, but it's very shameful. And if under these, we are the protectors of law. We protect the public in general. But if we are involved in such type of cases, then it's shameful for the entire force. I am referring entire force because the one person doing any illegal acts imparts that reflects the reflection of that entire force on that. No, I don't blame that entire force is like this. But such persons who are there, they should behave like this, and they should abstain from, because they are supposed to protect the interest of the public. Yes, women, particularly women.
No, Ellen Rao, again, let me ask this question to you particularly, because you've been with the you've served as a former DCP for Delhi. This is a case that is from Tamil Nadu, and my question is much more systemic. My question is, if a constable who's at a much junior level than a senior officer has to go and complain, could you just try and explain this, that how difficult it will be in an institutional setup such as what India has in terms of its police services, where ranks are followed to the T, where orders are followed to the T. Here you have a Vishaka committee that has been set up, but to even reach that stage and to be making that first move of an allegation against a senior comes at a huge risk. Does the system protect complainants such as the women complainants here?
Definitely, the Vishaka judgment was very much clear about this protection of the victims and these victims at the workplace. And definitely, there is no such there is nothing hard. You can say that is hardship to go to any police officer to complain against anyone with the evidences. The fake allegations must not be there, but if there are any evidences, and not only one,
no,
so
sir,
many other women
Ellen Rao, sir, listen to yourself of what you're saying. How many people can actually go with evidences? Not every harassment, not every workplace harassment, not every. I mean, the onus cannot be on the complainant to go with evidence, sir.
No. I'm not saying the onus of
that
the complaint.
itself
I'm saying that they may go to the senior officers complaining against any person who has done wrong to anyone. But definitely that complaint should be supported by the evidences. That without evidences only, that allegations will not support. The evidences must be there.
Certainly, by all means. But then again, there has to be a system in place to ensure that the evidence is looked at from all perspectives, from the complainant's perspective as well as the accused perspective, for sure. Sir, allow me to just go to Rajesh Jasial at this point. Rajesh Jasial, I mean, of course, the focus is on Tamil Nadu, but there have been several such cases in other states. And I mean, just look at this. These are teachers who are in schools. And what are we talking about? We are talking about sexual assault on teenagers in this case. We had Badlapur, where it was toddlers. Badlapur in Maharashtra, where it was toddlers, literally. Here in Tamil Nadu, you have teenagers starting from the age of 12 to 16. It varied across 2 to 3 districts. This is horribly wrong, but people would ask, the teachers have been arrested. What more can be done? What more can be done, Mr. Jasial?
Well, just to start with, it is a very condemnable incident, and it is not the first time it has happened. This is the fault of our society, and we need to take precaution. We need to protect our children when they are in school and when we have handed them over safely in the hands of the teachers. We as parents are generally very assured that they're in a safe environment. But however, my take on this is that we need to sensitize the parents, students, and teachers. Now, how do we do that? The parents must be called at least once or twice in a year and explained by the school authorities that keep the channel of communication open with your children, and especially the girl children who are more vulnerable. The child must have the confidence to come up to the parent and share her state with the parents. At the same time, the students, as it is happening in most of the schools, I have worked in a large number of schools, right from very, very young age, right from kindergarten onwards, we are teaching the children good touch and bad touch. I hope the same thing carries on even in government schools.
Here's the thing, Rajesh Jasial. Let me come in while you're talking about good touch and bad touch. These are teenagers. They know what is happening.
Yes.
They're aware of what is happening. And yet communication, not only with parents, but also with other school authorities, becomes so much more difficult. These are teenagers, and I have to emphasize at this place, these are not only girls. There's also a boy who has been sexually assaulted, and let's face it, irrespective of gender, sexual assault in schools is a reality, and we have seen it umpteen number of times. And I think, while yes, I understand your concern for the girl child, I think it's very important for us as a society to talk about sexual assault against boys as well, boys and girls, Mr. Jasial.
No, see, it is mandatory for each school to hire a counselor. Many schools do not, or they just hire somebody who has some reference in her B.Ed course or his B.Ed course is hired as a counselor, which is not sufficient. We need to have more counselors in the school, and their personality needs to be very friendly, where the children can go reach out to them. The school authorities themselves should not kind of insulate themselves from the children. The students should be able to walk up to the principal or their head teacher or to the coordinators very freely and share their problems in case of any sexual harassment happens. At the same time, I feel that each school must have a proper anti-sexual harassment SOP, which includes actions to be taken when such an incident happens, or identify the lonely spots in the school, or what are the after-school engagements where the children are more susceptible. At the same time, in my experience of last 20 years, I have found generally the touching of younger children happens mostly in the sports fields, especially the actions which include close proximity like dance, art, drama, or something like sports, where they are very, very susceptible and they don't come to know what the coach or the teacher is doing. So therefore, every child has to be told. And one of the methods we had deployed in most of the schools where I work, always have a male and a female teacher working together in any of these activities. Then CCTV cameras are a must in every school. But we need to search our hearts how many schools are actually.
But I mean, where would you have a CCTV camera, say, in a sporting ground? That's unlikely to. I mean, most of the schools will not have a CCTV.
Yes, that is where I said keep a male and a female teacher together, and don't leave children alone with one single teacher.
Important points. Important points.
Last, just a small point.
Certainly. Brinda Adige, if I can.
Yeah.
Sure.
I tried this as an experiment in the last school where I was a director. We introduced a buddy system. Maybe a girl of class 10, she will act as a buddy to somebody of class 6. Similarly, amongst the boys. It was a work in progress before I left the school, but it was working out very well. See, the younger child will easily share something very intimate to a close buddy. And that is what I think each school must make it as a
That's interesting. I haven't heard of this before. Yeah, I've heard of buddy systems, but I've heard buddy systems for the same age, the same class. I haven't heard buddy systems
No, no,
across ages and across the
not the
class
same
system.
age
That's an
and class.
interesting
It,
perspective
it
to
has
have.
to be somebody older,
Yeah,
older
I
buddy and a
understand.
younger buddy.
I understand. Interesting. Brinda Adige, if I can get you in. So I have two questions to you. Let's just start with one. Brinda Adige, uh, let's just talk about this whole trauma. And I'm calling it trauma because it's nothing short of a traumatic burden to be able to share and open up one's experience. And often this may happen after months, weeks, particularly with months or sometimes even years for that matter, particularly with young children and even with seasoned professionals.
You're absolutely right, Sneha. Let us place on record that it is very, very difficult for women and children to come out and speak about being sexually abused. Because we know the manner in which the perpetrator continues to feed that guilt into that person. A. B. Every time in our patriarchal society, we fail to believe the victim survivor. We all the time either silence them or tell them that, okay, don't go that side anymore, don't speak to so and so. And the other part is don't talk about it to anybody else, because what will people think about you? What will people think about my family? And this gets percolated. So I begin with the child at home, and the child continues with that same mindset when the child goes into school. And that is how we all women will also grow up saying, okay, there is no way I can talk to anybody. Then the other part for women, the adults, is what did you do to provoke? As if the other person has a right to do this kind of thing, abuse or assault. And the provocation must have come from either my side or I might have invited or advanced it. So both of these are terribly wrong notions that places the burden on the victim and the survivor. So coming out and speaking about it always is difficult. Now, for the case of the children, the management is absolutely responsible. There is no two ways about it. We know time and again that the management fails to supervise, the management fails where it is supposed to have been monitoring, the management fails when it is supposed to have made reviews. Now, one part of it is having a counselor in the school, but the other part of it is also to ensure that you have other spaces open for this kind of news and information. Because as a complainant, people will rarely come. Also, peer pressure is very high. Let's not
That's
forget
true.
that today's school is not like how I went to school. Today's school is much, much more complicated. And the social media places an even different kind of pressure on children. So if a child is going to be talking about it,
And
like Mr.
particularly among the
Rajesh mentioned,
teenage
maybe
age
we'll
group, you know,
talk
we're
to
not only
another.
talking about the small children, particularly among teenagers, it just plays out at a very, very different level.
Exactly. So that buddy system that Mr. Rajesh was talking about might work. But sometimes let's remember there are cases where in the buddy system also there have been cases of abuse. What is important is to
Right.
open up channels and lines of communication with family and with teachers, not just one counselor. And also, the school must send out a very strong message
Right.
that sexual harassment, sexual abuse of any nature is unacceptable. And in this institution, it is zero
Absolutely.
tolerance to anything like that. Are there posters in these schools? Big question.
Okay.
Have children been informed of something like that? Another big question. Is there some kind of an annual program where children are informed of all of this and told that you can send into these boxes like speak up and stuff like that? Government schools, we must tell that all of this is not there. They are already struggling with probably one or two teachers and some teachers who are doing 2, 3 subjects.
Right.
That is where
Right.
the entire arrogance and impunity comes in. Also, the children going to
Okay,
government schools are
okay.
poor children. So the teacher always has this arrogance that the child will not be able to go and speak up anywhere. Also, let us not forget, many of the
Yes,
government
they come
schools,
from
children who
financially
come there
restrained
belong
backgrounds.
to
I
the
understand when you
SC.
say what you mean about that. No,
They
I
also will
totally
not
understand. I
speak
mean,
up.
caste and social and financial interplays, of course, have very large dominance in a lot of factors. But Ellen Rao, very quickly, if I want to come to you, because you're also a police official, I want to ask you this question. It's important to drive this point to viewers who are watching. Often, one time offender is very seldom restrained at just once unless that person is legally, professionally checked or counted. Why I'm asking that is if you've defaulted once, if you have been an offender once, and if the action has not been taken, if the person has not been spoken up against, very high chances that that person would be a second and a third time offender. Ellen Rao, could you back this up? Is
Yes,
it correct to say this?
yes, Nehati, yes, it is there. If the person is not stopped at the very beginning, then he may repeat it because he will be encouraged that nothing could happen when I did it in the first time. So there are likely chances that he can repeat it again and repeat it on other victims, other survivors also. That is true because that
Right,
is just
right.
psychologically. Yes, yes. So it should
All
not.
right, we're totally out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry we also came a little late to you because of the breaking news that we have, but very, very important perspectives that all three of you have brought and added to this show. I wish I could have come to you for a little longer time, but Ellen Rao, thank you very much for your time. Rajesh Jasial, thank you very much for your time. And Brinda Adige, thank you very much for your time. Time for a very